Hey, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about the full moon in Leo on January 25th, 2024 at 9:53 a.m. in the Pacific time zone. If you are not in the Pacific, please adjust for your location. This full moon is at 5 degrees of Leo. And a full moon is where the sun and the moon are in an opposition. It's the brightest phase of the moon, which offers an illumination. It's often referred to as the culmination of a cycle, where the seeds that were planted in the darkness of the new moon come to their natural conclusion here in the full moon. We have had a series of new moons that started back in November of 2023 that have been at the 20th degree. That 20th degree is a Scorpio degree. The Scorpio energy represents power, control. It represents other people's money, taxes, inheritances, stockbrokers, funeral homes, death, rebirth, sex. It rules psychology, and not just pop psychology, but the deepest psychological imprint that sits within the human consciousness that holds us back, or gives our power away, or feels a need to dominate others, because on a platform that's potentially not truly confident. Through insecurity, there's dominance. We see that this full moon is conjunct Pluto, as Pluto has just entered Aquarius. It will be in Aquarius until fall of 2024, where it will retrograde back into Capricorn to revisit the Capricorn structures one more time before it finally does its entry into Aquarius for the next 20 years. So the illuminations that come as a result of this full moon, and Pluto representing the deepest psychology, the sun representing courage and our heart to be brave. I think this is really important, because the sun is the natural ruler of the Leo energy. And here there's an opposition between how I am seen in the outside world, how I project myself on an ego level, and my emotional body. This full moon is also at the Leo degree. So this is even punching that Leo energy more succinctly, using Pluto's conjunction to really, am I holding myself back? Am I afraid that I'm not palatable? Am I afraid that the people that I might want to touch will not accept me? Leo is royal. Leo is a natural leader. Leo is honest. It is generous. It's charismatic. On the flip side, being a fixed sign, it can be very inflexible, and it can be a little bit domineering and possessive. So here, this is where you're really having some sort of illumination on a psychological level as to what has been holding you back from where you want to go. Now let's click on the sun here, and we see that the sun is making a square to Jupiter. Jupiter represents business, commerce. It represents foreign people, foreign places. It represents higher education. It represents religion and philosophy and ideologies. And I believe here in Taurus, it represents my personal ideologies, what I believe, how I've processed my history, where I've been, my talents, my skills, my beauty. Taurus is ruled by Venus, but here Venus is very earthy. She's very connected to feeling comfortable and having a flow of resources. And this square could be a little bit of a fear that if you are to stretch yourself, that there may not be enough. We also see when we click on the moon that there's a square here. So it's technically a T square pointing at Jupiter. Are you allowing yourself to expand? Are you moving so slowly that it feels as if, because Taurus moves slowly, and I say this because this is an emotional slowness, knowing that you have talent on the inside, but being so, having so much trepidation and concern that you're not really allowing the expansion of that talent. And I think the easiest way when we're experiencing squares to allow for our expansion is to take it in slow and small bites. We see the moon is making a quincunx to Saturn in Pisces. Pisces is naturally creative. It rules dance, and it rules music, and it rules poetry, and it rules film and fantasy and illusion and compassion and empathy and spirituality and escapism. But when we're here with Saturn, Saturn is pushing that escapism aside and asking us to build strong roots. In our heart chakra, we see this 5-degree exact quincunx here to the moon. So Saturn's asking us to dig deep into our emotional body and what is our desire. And I think that digging deep is sort of going past that, what will other people approve of in the way of my creation? And then what is it that I really want for myself? Oftentimes humans create on a platform that is very Leo for the audience rather than for ourselves. So this quincunx, which represents a blind spot where the two planets aren't really seeing eye to eye, Saturn is here saying, build roots from your emotional body using your creative talents, which is complementary. Pisces is complementary, I think, to Leo in that they're both very creative. Then we're seeing this quincunx again to Venus. So we've got this sort of focal point here with the moon and two quincunxes, bringing this idea that it's kind of a yod. I mean, it's a little out of orb to be a yod because this should be a little bit tighter, but it's pretty close because Venus is going to rule our self-confidence. Venus rules Taurus. So this whole full moon is going to be about an illumination of how am I starting to allow my talents, my voice, my skills, my own sense of fulfillment through my expression, through what I feel is purposeful in this world. How am I starting to allow that to birth itself? I think that as Jupiter moves further and further into Taurus, and then it will go into Gemini in late May, there's going to be an opportunity to really expand on your skills, expand on your ability to make money. And part of it is betting on yourself in a way that you haven't before. But this full moon is illuminating the need to come from an emotional place, to be very aware that working hard, serves a certain purpose, but the alignment of the heart in addition to the hard work or the physical action will actually bring the manifestation rooted into your experience. Now, at the same time that we're having this illumination of the full moon, we see a conjunction between Mercury and Mars. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So here Mars is like learned how to slow his roll a bit, be more strategic, look at things through a building dynamic. So when he goes into, a warrior energy, he's not thinking about just one battle at a time, but how to win the war. Now we have Mercury here. And to me, this could very much indicate that there's something going on in my mind. Like part of my mind is maybe even frustrated, feeling a bit, Capricorn could be slow when it's building, and this full moon could illuminate a sense of yourself, or maybe even you're feeling, let's just click on this real quick, a karmic energy, as if there's Chiron right there in an exact square. Could be a wound somehow that you're feeling in the way you're thinking. Maybe it could be that people don't think you're smart, or don't think that you're a leader, or don't think what you think about yourself, and you're frustrated about it. And I feel like this is an opportunity to liberate yourself. Here we see Uranus through the idea of not worrying about whether they can see the concept of what you want, but rather allowing yourself to first take action in your own way of thinking. How am I approaching this? Because if you're approaching this from an opportunity to build slowly and kind of pushing the outside voices aside and focusing in on the inner voice, then we can transform this energy of Chiron through your individual expression and your willingness to build beyond what you can see with your eyes. And there was one other thing I wanted to bring up. Check my notes. Oh, when we look at Pluto here, I'm sorry. Let's go to Jupiter. Jupiter is technically in a square to the sun, but I feel like with Jupiter's expansion and with the deep psychological nature that we saw of Pluto earlier up here at the 0 degree, I feel like this conjunction is still sort of hanging around in the background. It's not I shouldn't call it a conjunction, I'm sorry. It's a square between Jupiter and Pluto. Let me move this off. This square here, while it's not tight right now, with the expansiveness of Jupiter, it really feels like in the back of my mind, I can feel an imprint that has tethered me, that has held me to feel powerless. And now I'm stretching to feel powerful within my emotional body before I take action in my physical body. When we click on Jupiter here, we see it making a growing trine to Venus. And while the tension between the sun and the moon, creating that T-square to Jupiter on this day, whatever is illuminated for you, whatever comes into your awareness is going to give you an opportunity to build very, I kind of want to use the word masterfully, because when we're coming from our emotional body, there's a sense of mastery and knowing how emotions ebb and flow. And with that knowledge, then we don't panic in some of the ebbs. We also see that Jupiter is making a sextile to Saturn. So this is giving me an opportunity to revisit a history that maybe in the past has not served me, but now instead of trying to erase it and pretend it didn't exist, I extract the wisdom and the divinity of it. So I think this is a beautiful aspect between Jupiter and Saturn, and then Jupiter and Venus. I'm sort of looking at my history, redefining it, expanding it, allowing myself the privilege of growth, the privilege of evolution, the privilege of the journey of learning. And I'm starting to trust my skills and birth them in the material world. The sign of Capricorn is always going to want to see what it is building. It can't be just conceptual. And while Venus may not be the sexiest here in partnership, she's super sexy in her ability to be a boss lady and make money using her skills. So I think this is super powerful. And I think that it's really, having this series of new moons at the 20th degree, which is the Plutonian Scorpion degree, is transformational. It's allowing us, more and more planting of seeds that will give us a stronger foundation in trusting that which we cannot see with our eyes, but we can feel with our heart. And this full moon on January 25th is really accentuating that because of this T-square to Jupiter, accentuating what do you believe? Are you willing to go into foreign territory within your own mind, even if it feels a little spiky, a little bit scary at first, because there could be a little war in your mind between Mars and Mercury. But at the same time, there are illuminations that will carry forth and have long-lasting opportunities. That's the way I want to put it. All right, that's it for this full moon in Leo on January 25th, 2024. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. If you'd like to book a reading with me, I am available. My information is below in the description. And please join me live Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we do an angel reading and a tarot card for each sign and get the angel's advice for traversing the week ahead's transits. All right, everybody, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.